both planes have arrived. Thank you to our national carrier once again. We're probably going to need to delay the commencement for about 20 minutes. We're aiming to start at 10 to 11. Thank you very much for your patience. We want to make sure that we can get all the guests into this hall and we don't need to go to overflow. So when our other guests arrive, I can see some seats down on my left, your right. And if there are any spare seats in the middle, if you could squash up, that'd be great, thanks, so we can fit as many people in the room as possible. And we're missing, of course, a couple of graduates as well, and our occasional address speaker. So I'll come back in about 10 minutes and explain the format for our graduates, but please continue to bear with us and enjoy Steve's music. Thank you.
Could all graduates please find their allocated seats again, please? Okay, so once everybody's seated, I can explain what we need to do. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the University of New England. And again, thank you very much for your patience. In about 10 minutes' time, we may get an influx of people, but we need to just keep rolling for as long as we can. Ladies and gentlemen, in Lazenby Hall, in case of an emergency, please follow the exit signs either side of the hall and out the back at the foyer area. Pardon me, and our ushers will direct you to a safe and hopefully dry place located outside the hall. If you're not already aware, the closest toilets are located in the foyer at the back right of the hall, which is the area you came in. First aid is also located in Lazenby Annex. First aid is up on where I'm pointing up on my left, your right. For assistance, please alert a member of staff around you, and all our ushers are in the grey shirts here as well. During the ceremony, and I know this is all a little bit pear-shaped this morning, but during the ceremony, can everybody please make sure that their mobile phones are either off or on silent? And the ceremony will commence, hoping in about 10 minutes' time. It's not what's written here. Beginning with the academic procession, in which I'll ask everybody to stand, and the academic procession will come down the stairs and then approach the dais and up onto the stage. Once the procession arrives, please remain standing and join us in singing the national anthem. We'd love to see everybody's photos and videos from today. Please feel free, if the weather doesn't come in, please feel free to walk around the grounds after the ceremony, including in the front lawns of Boolamimba, which unfortunately we had to make the sad decision of not having the ceremony today. And there's some great areas all around the grounds to capture photos and video. If you're posting on social media, please use the mention at UNI New England, at UNE New England. And then this is confusing, and the hashtag UNE graduation. Ceremony will take approximately 2 hours once we get going. After the ceremony is completed, all of our graduation events continue outside. If you haven't already booked, there's a gourmet buffet lunch available in the bistro, and walk-ups are accepted to that as well. So in preparation for graduation, I'd like to address our graduates in front of us. Everybody who will be acknowledged for the New England Award and Vice-Chancellor's Scholars Awards, and you know who you are, you'll be asked to stand and face the centre stage stairs, and you'll be photographed from that position. So
our head of academic board, I believe, will ask you to stand and face the stage, and our photographer will capture you in that position. You don't need to move from that position. Everybody, once again, please ensure you're allocated you stay in your allocated seat. It gets terribly confusing with wrong testaments getting handed out if you move around at all. And of course, your seat number again is on the back of your booklet and on your seat as well. The movement around, we've got a lot of cameras streaming this around the world. Could you please make sure, guests in the audience, that if you get up to take photos, please don't move around too much. We don't need to get people in the way of some of the camera lines and the photography lines as well. Our graduates, when it's time to present the awards, you'll be asked to stand a row at a time by our ushers, and your name will be checked off in order of presentation. So we'll start with the PhD students, and they'll be asked to stand a row at a time and asked to approach the centre stage from the centre stairs. The ushers will instruct you to move forward to the next point. And upon your name being called, the university tradition of acknowledging our Chancellor is to doff your trencher, touch your hat, doff your trencher with a short bow. You'll see academics doing that beforehand when they stand up to address you. There's a couple of speeches with occasional address and honorary doctorates being awarded. You'll notice them recognising the Chancellor and doff their trencher. So when your name is called, you'll be down on the floor, doff your trencher as you approach, and walk up the stairs. Girls in heels, concentrate. Everyone forgets how to walk when they're under pressure. Don't forget how to walk. Sorry, no one forgets how to walk. I should have said it that way. Once you receive, and I'll show you in a moment, but once you receive your award, you turn to your right to receive a photograph from Lily, and I'll explain that too. So you walk up the stage, the Chancellor presents you with your testament, you both turn to the right and receive a photo, and then you head back down. Those graduates in front of me, your role's pretty simple. You head back down and an usher will direct you back to your seats. The graduates on my right, your left, you'll get your steps up. You've got to walk all the way around so you don't cross over. So do the long walk, okay? And just measure your steps, it'll be great. So I'll show you what I mean. Come up the stairs, concentrate, handrails in front, don't forget how to walk. Come and present yourself to the Chancellor. Chancellor presents your testament. Sorry, my back. Big smile to Lily. Boom. Walk towards the wall. Thank you. presentation ceremony for the awards in the School of Rural Medicine and the School of Psychology. Graduands, family, friends, and the UNE community, may I ask that you now please stand for the entry of the academic procession and the Chancellor of the University of New England, and remain standing to join us in singing the national anthem. Thank you.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free, with golden soils and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair. Please be seated. I'd like to start with an acknowledgement of country that I have been generously given and taught by the Aniwan elders. Dangana Otila, Yakawunda Kiunda Aniwanda Nina, Inja Kuna Aniwan, Nyaka Kuna Wangaka, Uitika Lanapura. This means a greeting to a group of people, so greetings to you. I'm a white person living on Aniwan country. This here is Aniwan country. Let's all listen to and learn from country. Talk soon. In the spirit of reconciliation, I would like to acknowledge the Aniwan people, the traditional custodians of this land, and to thank Larissa Ahoy, Elder in Residence Dr. Colin Ahoy, Uncle Steve Widders, Auntie Rose Lovelock, and Callum Clayton Dixon for teaching me this acknowledgement so that I could share it with you. I would also like to pay my respect to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are present here today. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Sarah Pearson, and I am the 10th Chancellor at UNE. As I walked down today, it happens to me every time, I was on the verge of tears because look at this beautiful room full of incredible people. Here we have our amazing graduands, and we're going to know the difference between graduands and graduates very soon. All that you've accomplished, I just get so thrilled and excited and happy when I see you filling this space. And then when I see all your supporters out there so proud of you, supporting you here today and celebrating, it's quite an overcoming experience to walk down those stairs. So thank you for giving me that privilege. It is my great privilege and pleasure to welcome you all to today's graduation ceremony for the Schools of Rural Medicine and Psychology. And I just want to stop and just slot something in here. And I want to thank you. I have a son who is a doctor. I know how hard it is to study for a doctor of medicine. And I know how important it is that we have doctors. And I know how important it is that we have doctors in our rural and regional areas. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you have done and are going to do. Those of you who studied psychology, we need you now more than ever. When I was doing physics, we were all excited as physicists because we're a bit arrogant and we think we can just turn our minds to anything. And we thought, oh, we've had enough with the material world. Let's get on with the brain and the mind. Yeah, very arrogant. Psychology is where it's at. And if I look at the future, if I look at how technology is changing, how the world is changing, what you have learned is incredibly important as we decide what it is to be a human being. So I want to thank you so much for all your studies and all that you're going to do. Welcome especially to you, our graduands, and your family and friends joining us to celebrate this very special occasion, many of whom have traveled great distances to be here, and some of you I know have had several goes at getting here in the aeroplane. Thank you so much for your persistence and getting here to be with us here today. Welcome also to our staff who are here today to share the celebration of the achievement of their students. It's such a great celebration for all of us, students who've done the hard yards and can now stop and realize how much you have achieved. And I really encourage you to do that today. I know it's an exciting day, but take some time at some stage to just stop and remind yourself of the journey you've been on to get here and how much you have achieved. So, so proud of you. Thank you to supporters in all your forms, with their family, friends, or the UNE staff who have taught, shepherded, and nurtured you. I've heard so many lovely stories about our wonderful staff who have looked after you for all the years that you've been here and how they've helped you to stay the course. I also welcome special guests, today's occasional address speaker, Associate Professor Joseph Suttie, Vice Chancellor and CEO, Professor Chris Moran, Emeritus Professor Mahinda Siriwardana, today's Esquire Bedell. Now, I learned something today. We have an esquire up the front, a yeoman esquire, who had a stick. Now, her job is to sort of keep everyone out of the way as the procession comes in. And then we have our Esquire Bedell, Mahinda, who had the wonderful opportunity of holding the mace. And you see they're quite spiky at the ends. His job is if anyone comes too close to me, he gets to poke them away. So I just want to add a little bit of brevity to the pomp and ceremony because there is a lot of that today. Members of the UNE Council and executive staff, we welcome you too, a special welcome, and a very special welcome to Uncle Steve Widders, who we're going to hear from in a minute. Graduations are a very special time for the university. They're an occasion when we celebrate your achievements, the achievements of students and the attainment of your awards and degrees, and also acknowledge the hard work and dedication of the staff who've helped you to get this far. Graduations are also a time when we can, as a university, honour those who have made a really special contribution to the university, the local community, and society as a whole. For many of you, this may be your first time on campus, so welcome. I know that many of our students study off campus, and so it's a very special occasion to have you here today. Apologies that we couldn't get the weather to work for you to be on the lawns, but I don't know about you, but it's such a special, intimate space in here. I think it's going to be a beautiful ceremony. You can always go to the lawns afterwards and have a look. But we hope that this place will be one of significance for you, as it has been for generations of graduates over the past 72 years. We're excited to share the campus with you on this special day, and I hope you all take that opportunity to have a look around. It's really good to see our students enjoying the environment we have. It's a very special place to study, whether you have lived on campus or when you've come here for your intensive schools. Graduation ceremonies have a long history. They date back to the Middle Ages, and they tend to be reasonably formal occasions. Middle Ages. God, it's all Middle Ages stuff, but it's pretty amazing to be able to point back to that time and that history. And at UNE, while we honor the traditions of graduation ceremonies, we try to make this day as warm and engaging as possible for graduands and everyone attending. Embrace the pomp and ceremony if it works for you. It's a bit of fun. When you do the doffing of the hat at the bottom of the stairs, that's all a little bit of fun. And as I say, a link back to the past. But enjoy this ceremony, the fancy outfits that make this day a little bit different, a little bit special. But most importantly, savor the moment as you receive your award, your very hard-earned award. It is now my pleasure to declare this ceremony open and to call upon anyone elder, Steve Widders, to make the welcome to country. Thank you, Steve.
About that? How's that? Pretty good? Graduates and your family, this is your day. Welcome. As Dr. Pearson just said, welcome back to the UNE. Welcome here to the UNE for the first time as well, for those who haven't been here. My name is Steve Widders. I'm a descendant of the Anawan people. Anawan is spelled A-N-A-I-W-A-N. And we are the traditional custodians of the land upon which the University of New England stands. We're people of the high country. Australia has been multicultural for many thousands of years. With Aboriginal people living here, there are over 300 different countries throughout Australia, Aboriginal countries. Some of you may be familiar with, from Sydney, maybe Gadigal, from Brisbane, Turrbal and Yagara, and around here, the university, around the New England and Northwest and the North Coast and Central Coast and West New South Wales, we have countries like that you may be familiar with, Wiradjuri, Awabakal, Darkinjung, Huon, Warramai, Wonnarua, Biripi, Gumbanga, Bunjalung, Dungutty, Kamilaroi, all Aboriginal countries. I could go on, but there's 300. You haven't got the time for that. A welcome to country is a tradition that's been given when people travel from one country to another. And it's a tradition that the University of New England certainly respects and acknowledges that we are on Aboriginal land, unceded Aboriginal land. And for me to come here and to welcome you, I do it in the spirit of friendship, the spirit of goodwill, the spirit of understanding, and the spirit of peace. It's something that's been done by Aboriginal people for thousands of years and hundreds of generations as people visit their country. All the countries in Australia are designated and defined by the geographical aspects. So whenever the land changes, the landscape changes, or there's a river or a mountain, whenever you travel, if you've gone from, like here, if you're up on the high country and you go to the coast, the landscape changes. Where the waters fall, the landscape changes. Similarly, if you go west, there's a couple of rivers out there. When you cross those rivers, you're on a different country. The Aboriginal people use the natural surroundings, the natural environment as their borders. They were smart in the way they were cartographers that used the natural boundaries. And each country is also defined by the vegetation that grows there and the animals that live there as well in that climate. So that's what a welcome to country is all about. I know there's some misunderstanding about what a welcome to country is. But when you know a little bit about the history of this country, the multiculturalism that's been around for a long time, and the respect and the understanding and the unity of all Aboriginal people that have lived on the same land with the same, joined by the sun. I've just got a makeshift flag here. I don't know if that is here, but black on the top is for the people, red on the bottom is for the land, and yellow in the middle represents the sun, which unites the people with the land. And this is something that's been in Australia for thousands of years. So on behalf of the Anaiwan people, I'd like to welcome you all here, to all the graduates, and congratulate you on the success and the hard work. Success will come, but the hard work that you have put in, your motivation, your dedication, your determination to succeed in your field, in your chosen field. And to the families that have accompanied you here today and all your supporters, welcome to you all. You are part of this journey. You are part of the day-to-day. So thank you and welcome to everybody. I'm going to say welcome in my language. And I said it there earlier that New England was one of the first countries, first areas that was colonised and settled. And a lot of the languages around here, including the Anaiwan language, was one of the first ones to be lost when colonisation happened. So we like to revive our language, revive our culture, because it's part of our pride in being Aboriginal and our identity. If you speak language, you know who you are, and you know where you are as well, and what you are, and why you are. That's part of everything. But a welcome to country. Those of you who have travelled overseas, when you go to another country, you get stamped passport. I'm about to stamp your passport here in a sort of theoretical way. And I'm saying the land is safe, the land is comfortable. I know you will respect it, and you're most welcome. Danganadaga, Dangandaga Wanga, Yaka Anaiwan Noyina, Inja Anaiwan Kiuna, Yaka Yina, Inja Kiuna. Inja Nyambinga Kiuna, Nyambinga Orala, Altula Rakinya Inja Kiuna, Natame Runyara, Nyambika Kiuna. Welcome to the country, and I hope that when you go away from here into your back to where you come from, that you will understand what a welcome to country is all about. It's about respect, and it's about it's a reminder that Aboriginal people have lived here for thousands of years. They have culture, they have heritage, they have stories. In fact, all of us have stories. All of us in this room today, we're all descendant from 4 groups of people. We're either Indigenous, we come from convicts, we come from migrants, or we come from refugees, or a combination of us all. And together, you and me equals us. We represent this country, we make this country, Australia, and we make the diversity of this country. And when I say a welcome to country, that's for everybody. It's not just for Aboriginal people, it's for everyone. As we heard in our national anthem, we are one and free. And a welcome to country is a reminder that, yes, Aboriginal culture still exists here. And I'll always say it too, the more we know about our history, the better we can go forward. Because to understand the present, we have to understand the past. So welcome everybody, and congratulations again to all your graduates, and especially your families. You've been there behind these people all the time. So welcome to all of you to the land of the Anaiwan people. Thank you. Oitika Lanapura.
Thank you, Steve. I spoke earlier about how amazing it is to be able to point back to the Middle Ages, but we're so fortunate to live in Australia, the only country in the world, possibly the universe, that can point back to over 65,000 of a continuous culture, the only one, and we celebrate that today too. But today is definitely about you. I'm thrilled to be sharing this achievement with you and your loved ones, the people who've shared every high and every low, every assignment and every exam. Well done to you too for staying the course, literally. Graduates, you've worked so hard to get here, and I hope you feel justly proud Proud of yourself, proud of having chosen UNE, and proud of the qualification that you're going to earn today. You are graduating at a profound time in history, a time when the world has become increasingly volatile and uncertain. But in all this uncertainty, all this geopolitical unpredictability, this technologically unknown, there is one thing that you can be sure of. Your UNE education has equipped you with the skills and capabilities to discover the new solutions we need, to foster new partnerships and inspire fresh hope. Not only have you learnt deeply about your chosen subjects, but you've also learnt how to think, how to critically assess information, how to creatively problem solve, how to work with others, how to be resilient and keep progressing even in the hard times. Importantly, you've also learned that there is more to know than one person can know. I know you all feel you've learned a lot. There's a lot that's in your brain, but I know that you know that there's so much more to know. I think it's Einstein that said, the more I learn, the more I know I don't know. And there are more ways than one to address challenges too, all important in today's world of uncertainty and opportunity. You've received a world-class education from Australia's very first regional university in facilities to rival some of the other counterparts across the metropolitan parts of Australia. A university renowned for its impressive graduate outcomes. I don't know if you know, but you got ranked #1 in Australia for graduate outcomes this last year. The only public university in Australia to achieve 5 stars for overall experience in the Good Universities Guide for 20 years in a row, as voted by students. I want to thank you as students for your vote, but I also want to recognize the staff who've been tirelessly working to support you so well that you have graded us that for 20 years in a row. Along the way, you've learned what it means to be part of a community that doesn't just extol the values of kindness, accountability, connection, and boldness, but enacts them. An unconventional university that encourages teamwork and respect, that believes in creating a better future for all, regardless of geography or background. They are things that we are very proud of, being unconventional and being the university of the universal opportunity. Your alma mater is one you can take pride in, just as we take pride in you. Our university is steeped in history, yet propelled by imagination and innovation. It is your springboard. And as it launches you into new airspace, I encourage you to grasp every opportunity that comes your way. And believe me, it will. With what you have today, that piece of paper to prove how resilient and smart you are, there will be opportunities abundant. Consider, as the opportunities come your way, consider what impact you can have on communities. Be a champion for learning and collaboration, diversity and difference, but also kindness and love. Because that's what the world needs right now, what the world will always need. On behalf of the University of New England, I thank you for joining our family, and I wish you every success. Uitika Lanapura. Talk soon. I now invite the Chair of Academic Board, Professor Adrian Walsh, to present the candidates for their degrees.
Okay, would the graduands please stand? That's all you. Chancellor, I submit to you a list of candidates as set out in the program who have completed all requirements and are entitled to be admitted to their respective academic degrees and awards.
In the name of the Council, I admit these candidates to their respective academic degrees and awards.
There's an important distinction here. I'm just, a minute ago I said graduands, now I'm going to say graduates. So you're all graduates. So, well done. Would the graduates please be seated? Thank you. Would the graduates also receiving the New England Award please stand? Some of you, okay. Chancellor, the New England Award is granted to selected graduates who have demonstrated outstanding service to the university and wider community and commitment to others. It's a non-academic award given by the university in recognition of the skills, attributes, leadership and personal qualities that are developed through extracurricular activity, committee membership, voluntary work and good citizenship.
Through your actions to achieve the New England Award, you have shown yourselves to be high-achieving, proactive, outward-looking members of the university community. UNE is proud of the relationships we have developed with many organisations across Australia as a result of your efforts. On behalf of the Council and UNE community, I extend to you our thanks and congratulations. And personally, I want to say it's so inspirational seeing people who can actually achieve academically with all the background of everything else you have to deal with, and on top of that, you're out there changing communities and the world around you. Thank you so much for all you've done.
Please be seated. Would the graduates who are also receiving a Vice Chancellor's Scholar Award please stand? Okay. Chancellor, the Vice Chancellor's Scholar Award is granted to selected bachelor's or master's degree graduates who are graduating with a grade point average of 6.7 or higher. It's granted to recognise the achievements of our most academically high achieving students.
By achieving the Vice Chancellor's Scholar Award, you have shown yourselves to be hard-working and disciplined members of the university community with a determination to succeed. On behalf of the Council and UNE community, I extend our hearty congratulations and personally commend you on your smartness, your grit, your determination, and really congratulations on all you've achieved. Well done.
Please be seated. Chancellor, I now have the honour to present to you all of those graduates newly admitted to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy who are able to present at this ceremony. And I want to ask something. I'm going to read out what the title of the thesis and those who are, who supervise. And if we hold the applause, and I'll say the name afterwards, after that, it'd be nice because these people spend an enormous amount of time doing their doctorates and the thesis title. So if you don't mind, we'll hold the applause till the end. Till the end after I say the name again. So first of all, we have it's Doctor of Philosophy, and we have Nicole Diane Allenden, supervised by Professor Amy Likens, Associate Professor Susan Kosh, Dr. K. Louise Phillips, Adjunct Professor Donald William Hine, and the title is Exploring and Understanding the Barriers and Drivers to Adopting the Sustainable Plant-Rich Mediterranean Diet. Dr. Nicole Diane Allenden. Yumiko Coffey, supervised by Associate Professor Nicola Schutter, Adjunct Professor Navjot Bulla, Dr. Margaret Lynette Rogers. Exploring Climate Emotions in Adolescence, Dr. Yumiko Coffey. Melissa Claire Cox, supervised by Dr. Bernadette Francis Cox, Associate Professor Claire Temple, Associate Professor Susan Ellen Watt. Opinion, Polarisation and Social Media, Exploring the Interplay of Personality, Opinion, Perception and Context, Dr. Melissa Claire Cox. Louise Andrea Ferraz de Camargo, supervised by Associate Professor Kylie Rice, Professor Aina Thorstenson. A proposed model to conceptualise support for victims of bullying, the Bullying Victimisation Cognitive Behaviour Therapy model. Dr. Louise Andrea Ferraz de Camargo. Joy Maynadzia, supervised by Associate Professor Michael Malouf, Dr. Natasha Loy, Associate Professor Nicola Schutter. Problematic social media use, causes and mechanisms, Dr. Joy Maynadzia. Leanne Michelle Nisbet, supervised by Professor Stuart Walk, Dr. Mary Louise Conway, Mr. Justin Field. The New England Interconnected Healthcare Ecosystem Project, Dr. Leanne Michelle Nisbet. Now we've got the Doctor of Philosophy, Clinical Psychology, Stephanie Banner, supervised by Associate Professor Kylie Rice, Associate Professor Nicola Schutter, Associate Professor Adam Rock. Self-reflection and self-assessment in a competency-led development framework for psychologists, Dr. Stephanie Banner. Ayuvli Lutchman, supervised by Associate Professor Suzanne Koch, Dr. Cassandra Sundajara, Associate Professor Philip Tully, Associate Professor Rajiv Mahajan. A comprehensive analysis of the association between blood pressure variability, mental health and cognitive function, Dr. Ayuvli Lutchman. Sarah Alexandra McCord, supervised by Associate Professor Kylie Rice, Associate Professor Adam Rock, assessing the influence of caregiver factors on the delivery of family-based treatment for child and adolescent eating disorders, Dr. Sarah Alexander McCord. Jaiva Shelley, supervised by Associate Professor Kylie Rice, Associate Professor Adam Rock, Associate Professor Nicola Schutter. The application of simulated learning activities in the development and assessment of psychological competencies in postgraduate psychology training. Dr. Jaiva Shelley. Laura Ruth Williams, supervised by Associate Professor Warren Bartik, Associate Professor Suzanne Koch. Modifying mental health help-seeking stigma in young rural Australians, a mixed method approach. Dr. Laura Ruth Williams. These scholars stand at the peak of academic achievement. Through years of dedication, intellectual rigour and creativity, they've not only mastered their disciplines, but also contributed new knowledge to the world. Their work embodies the spirit of discovery that defines this university. In honour of their accomplishments, I now invite all of the procession to please rise and join me in acclaim for our research graduates. Okay, Chancellor, I now have the honour to invite the delegate for the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Medicine Health, Associate Professor Kylie Rice, to present those graduates newly admitted to postgraduate awards who are able to present at this ceremony.
Chancellor, I now have the honour to present to you those graduates newly admitted to the degree of Master and Graduate Diploma from the School of Psychology. Master of Professional Psychology, Alicia Brookhouse. Jasmine Lee Goodwin. Vanessa Hanjani. Isabella Rose Honecke. Lucy Jane Jevons.
Alexander Matthew Jolie. Madison Courtney Lauder. Shwetha Manavasagam. Nabiha Rahman. Remy Seville Renata Shura. Emma Shepherd. Talia Brooke Smith. Marta Grazina Smitham. Brianna Claire Taylor. Lauda Tuma. Also receiving the Vice Chancellor's Scholar Award. Elaine Marie Townsend. Claudia Turo Ortega. Nathan James Webster, also receiving the Vice Chancellor's Scholars Award. Olivia Marie Wickham. The Master of Psychology Clinical, Marianne Adams. Olivia Letitia Charge. Benjamin Dixon. Andrew David William McFadden. Hira Maswood. Craig Robert Raymond, also receiving the Vice Chancellor's Scholar Award. Kyla Smith. Layla Jade Solomon. Elizabeth Toole. Master of Psychology Clinical, Advanced Entry, Tanya Ann Cone. Graduate Diploma in Psychology, Olivia Ambier. Valeria de Gracia Coelho. Helen Marie Lindsay. Stacey Wanjiku Mututa. Marco Nocera. Jacinta Marie Parmenter. Tara Scheimeld. And a Bachelor of Psychological Science, Jennifer Rachel Stone. Chancellor, that concludes the presentation of postgraduate awards from the School of Rural Medicine and the School of Psychology to graduates who are able to be present at the ceremony.
Thank you, Associate Professor Rice. I now call upon the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Chris Moran, to introduce today's occasional address speaker.
Thank you, Chancellor. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience earlier today. I came into the room to see how you were going, and you're the most orderly crowd I think I've ever seen waiting patiently for Qantas, so that the people could graduate and see their students graduate today. So thank you so much for that. I also acknowledge these lands have traditional owners, and they have for millennia, and we pay respects here to the knowledge holders of this place and all of the places of the country we call Australia, where our students live, learn, work and play. I also feel it's really important for us to reflect as a university on the potential there is in a university, particularly a regional and rural university, to change the lives of countless people by taking the responsibilities very deeply that we have to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders in our communities. We have a very proud history in our university of students and graduates of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander descent, but folks, we've barely scratched the surface of the potential for these people and communities. And part of the new strategy of our university is to look very, very carefully at why in a regional area where a university has been present for 70 years, we still are barely scratching the surface in the population, even in a population parity sense, let alone in an opportunity sense for our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. So you finished? Yeah? Nah, look at these people who've just come up here for the postgraduates. It's never finished. Learning's never finished. I wanted to talk to you just a little bit today about the new strategy for our university. I've got a 15-minute PowerPoint presentation here to walk you through on that. Nah, I don't. I just want to pick one piece out of that for the graduating cohort today. The centerpiece of our new strategy is around the communities that the university is here to serve, the communities that formed this university. And we have in there 5 core collaborations that we're evolving over time. These don't come from nowhere. We already have foundations of these core collaborations. One of these is what we call live and work to learn. And many of you will have done this. Many of you will have been working while you've been learning. But our sense is that whilst you haven't been a number to us, the support we've provided for the life part of what you've had to deal with, as opposed to the learning part, has been somewhat minimal. We'd like to change that in the future. We'd like to change the sense of responsibility the university has to help people who are carrying a full life load to also get your aspirations met, to get to the places you want to go through the learning part. This university was, I think, one of the first in the world, certainly the first in this country, to recognise a really important group of people who needed and wanted education to reach the aspirations of their future. They're a very interesting group of people. They're called adults. Back in 1938 and through into the 1950s, this university accepted that there was a missing group from the point of view of tertiary education. Now we're taking the next step and asking the question, how do we help people, adults in particular, parents, working to achieve their goals? Now, why would I bring that up with you as you're leaving? Because you're finished, right? You're just going out there to work and do whatever you do and die. No. We're going to ask something else of you. I work on percentages. So I like the number 10%. 5% seems a bit small. So I like 10%. So if 10% of you were to participate in what I'm about to ask you to do, every graduating cohort will make a considerable shift in the things that we're trying to change. So I'm not trying to get all of you to agree with me. I'm just looking for the 1 in 10. They're all looking down now. Just a bit like teaching a class, they're looking down. No, not me, don't pick me. What we'd like you to consider is becoming leaders in the community almost immediately, not waiting until you're old and grey or you've been working in the profession you're moving into for 20 or 30 years, but to start to think now, not to be suppressed by those who would tell you otherwise, that you are leaders. Leaders of what? Leaders of the opportunity for others, working in practices, working in communities where some part of the effort that you spend, the time you spend, the intellect that you express, those other skills the Chancellor has talked about, you use those to help bring others have those opportunities. Why? Well, there's no reason why people who are living in rural and remote communities should not have what you can give, and that you should be appropriately recompensed for that. I'm not suggesting that this is all just an add-on to your life. The professionalism begins to change. How do you learn how to do that? Well, you come back to the University of New England and ask us for our help. So your journey will be forever journey. On the window of the robing room, what's called the library in Bullamimba, which was a house that was built long before the university, there's an epitaph on the window in there. It says, "Cease not to learn until thou cease to live." I couldn't believe it when I looked up, putting my robe on, frightened as hell for my first graduation as Vice-Chancellor, and I saw this up there and I thought, well, that helps a lot. I've got something to talk about at every graduation because of that window. So I invite you to go and have a look at that window and have your own thought. The last thing I wanted to do before I undertake my formal task here to introduce you to our speaker is to introduce you to the concept of TikTok. I know, because you're all really serious students, that none of you know anything about social media and TikTok. That's what other people are doing in their spare time. But you might not be aware, other than our PhD graduates in exactly this field, that approximately 2 seconds is the amount of time that the majority of people spend on the majority of TikToks. 3 seconds for a good one. 20 seconds is an extraordinary TikTok. I'd just like to pause for 20 seconds now and have you pick one thought that's meaningful to you from your education journey here and hang on to it. And now that you're free and you get involved in TikTok like everybody else, whenever you watch a TikTok, think that thought. Think that thought about your education. Since UNE's first Vice-Chancellor, Sir Robert Madgwick, gave an occasional address at UNE's 1959 graduation, this podium has been followed by hundreds of fascinating speakers, both UNE alumni and others, who take the opportunity to impart their wisdom and experience on the graduating cohort. Associate Professor Joseph Sooty graduated with a Bachelor of Laws and a Master of Business Administration from the University of New England and is a distinguished rural health advocate and clinician based in the Riverina region of New South Wales. As a community advocate and clinician with Murrumbidgee Local Health District, he has dedicated his career to building clinical equity and research capacity in rural Australia. Associate Professor Sooty established Australia's largest inland rural cardiac screening program, utilising advanced CT and MRI technology. His research has pioneered the clinical application of artificial intelligence in coronary artery assessment and investigated how adiposity affects cardiac health. He has been particularly focused on identifying premature coronary disease in Indigenous Australians, the first such initiative of its kind in inland Australia. Beyond his clinical work, he founded the Australian Rural Training and Innovation Enterprise and established Rural Minds, a support program for healthcare trainees working in isolated areas. He also directs the Bush Tracks program, which opens STEM and health science pathways for rural secondary students. Since 1998, as Director of the Royal Agricultural Society Public Health Unit, he has shaped national biosecurity policy and animal health guidelines. His UNE qualifications have been instrumental in realising his vision of creating rural positive opportunities and developing sustainable research infrastructure in rural communities. Members of the Council, graduates, guests, staff of the University, I am honoured to introduce Associate Professor Joseph Sooty as your occasional address speaker this morning. Please give him a warm welcome.
Chancellor Dr. Sarah Pearson, Vice-Chancellor Professor Chris Moran, community leaders and elders, thank you very much for that welcome. The Council, academic colleagues, loving parents, crazy families, supporters, and above all, the new doctors, the new psychologists, the new doctors of philosophy here. A special apology. I was a medical student here at Armidale Hospital, and to any of those who I learnt how to cannulate who are in the audience, I'm very, very sorry. I asked Claude AI what made a great graduation speech and what you were looking for. They say I am a tech bro who failed all my university courses and made $1 gazillion. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to disappoint, I'm actually spectacularly boring. I'm a cardiologist, I work down in a rural area. I just love rural Australia and I love rural health. And I think it's the best way to train our future leaders and doctors. I've made a tiny contribution on this grand adventure, which is Australian rural education. And today I want to talk to you about how that great adventure of rural education, which UNE embodies, also has overlaps with that great adventure which many of you are embarking upon, which is the challenge that we still face with rural health. Times are always in flux and change and uncertainty. I remember where I was exactly when I was a medical student up here at Armidale Hospital, because late at night when I should have been studying, I was watching a show called The West Wing, and it was interrupted at that time for the actual planes flying into the Twin Towers. I remember incredibly patient doctors trying to teach me what repolarization changes were on an ECG, and they were doing it not because of the money or the time, but they were painstakingly trying to teach me out of the love of teaching and passing that on to another medical student who looked vague and bewildered. I've also enjoyed studying a couple of degrees here. You seem to, you'll have the memory dump and you'll have the experience, I never want to study again after you finish your final exams. I just want to do fantastic long hours on the wards. And then in a few years, it'll come back and you go, actually, I'd just like to have another go. Don't worry, you will keep on doing it for the rest of your life. I've got 5 young adults in my house who are studying at UNE because they also love it. And I want to thank whoever it is on the UNE staff who gave that just press the 1-week extension button. In our household, it's as familiar as going to collect all the eggs from the chook shed. The UNE standards are world class. And actually the reason they're world class is not just the technology, that's easy, that can easily be fixed. But it's the support and kindness of staff that really retain the scale of human-centered support that I've certainly experienced and my children have experienced for students from every background, every age, every circumstance. And I hope that that continues to remain the core of UNE's culture. Because the real story of rural education in Australia is extraordinary, and UNE stands as the gold standard trailblazer. We stand on the shoulders of these real giants, and you're familiar with all of them, but I love the story. So forgive me for those who've heard it before, how many firsts UNE has actually been able to achieve. So when the Honourable David Drummond in 1920 becomes the passionate, driven education minister, eventually by 1927, he's worked his way up as an MP. And in 1929, he does this radical thing, establishing this New England Teachers College, the core of education and teaching right from the start, the first such institution outside these major centres. And then he starts a real community campaign. By 1934, real communities say we need to begin a northern university. By 1935, Sydney Uni say, well, yes, you can have a college up there, we'll give you that. And then a rich pastoralist, Thomas Forster, who says he only got to go to school up until the age of 15, and he didn't get a chance to have that further education, but he calls for a university college for all Australia. That's it. I mean, this is in the years before MBA tried to come out with taglines and promotional things. That is wow. That is vision. That is egalitarianism. That is driving rural Australia. But of course, the road's not easy. The idea of a university up here in New England was mocked as an Oxford or a Cambridge on a sheep station in nowhere. Well, not so fast. Actually, we all know that Oxford was actually deliberately located in a cluster of pubs 7 days by horse and cart from the distractions of London, and in a place where actually people could afford some housing. As a student, I studied for a while in a tiny English village of Papworth, smaller than Armidale outside Cambridge. At the time, it was the leading centre for heart transplantation and cardiac failure in the world. A small town with some great pubs making an impact. Sounds vaguely, strangely familiar. So by 1937, Premier Stevens agreed that if the Armidale community could raise the funds, then the government would back the idea. So this is the £10,000 target that came down to the day, only hours to spare, and the government agreed to match it. Now, the purchasing power calculation, with all the fudge factors involved, means that's about $535,000 in today's currency. And I think that's interesting. That's less than the debt incurred by just 2 international medical students in today's terms. UNE endured the hard years of the war, a time of great sacrifice, enormous hardship, particularly for rural communities. 5 years after the war in 1950, tea was still a wartime restriction, still rationing. But by 1954, Madrick is appointed Vice-Chancellor, and he fights hard to unleash the power of rural communities by training teachers through distance education. And this was revolutionary. He was successful, but only just. He faced strong opposition from establishment universities. They couldn't conceive of learning outside the conventional college tutorial rooms in those urban or established ivory towers. So UNE leads the way with distance and online education. It preempted the COVID era revolution by about 50 years. Today, UNE pivots towards flexibility with the community experience no other university can match. The academic staff still know the value of working on site. You work with colleagues, you have medical placements which are closely embedded in communities. You have long-term medical placements in small towns, big towns, centres of excellence. That sort of commitment is what makes the difference. Now, for decades, rural health and research has been fighting the same fights that UNE has fought for the last century. The city-centred silos, the bizarre belief that you can't find medical expertise outside the CBD. In a digital education environment, it's a disgrace that it's still not possible to complete training as, say, a specialist physician in rural Australia from start to finish. Fortunately, I can say this is finally changing this year. For the first time, geriatricians, cardiologists, respiratory specialists can be recruited, trained, and embedded in their rural communities. It adds that finishing touch, that critical moment where it's not just pipelined medical student placements, end-to-end embedded rural placements, but also end-to-end specialist physician training. A flourishing Australia needs a flourishing rural Australia. And we need to unleash these ideas and innovation that were seen in UNE's founding. A rural university for all Australians. And research capacity building is key to this vision. So UNE's early days revolutionised teaching pedagogy and was a world leader in agricultural innovation. But we cannot overstate how much Australia needs this UNE vision to work. And for medical health, for rural health, there are two basic reasons. We actually need the rural-centred research, but we also need it for recruitment and training. So today, rural communities need rural health research. We also need it to attract the best medical graduates and provide them with the best training, because we need to be able to assure them that choosing rural training places without CV, building research opportunities is not a form of career suicide, a pathway to nowhere. But as we all know, living your life for some sort of CV building game is pretty superficial. It's a shortcut to cynicism, burnout, and sometimes a temptation for research fraud. So instead, we really need rural communities that do real research because it makes a difference. And I always say to my trainees, it doesn't have to be huge, but something small and real is much more valuable than something ridiculous and grandiose that goes nowhere. So what does it actually look like? What does rural research look like on the ground? What does this capacity building mean? And I want to talk about 3 examples that I came up with in the last month. So 4 days ago on a Saturday morning, I'm out in my back paddock. We had 2 of our regional medical schools, medical and nursing students. We had our local paramedics from the Rock Station with ambulances. We had St John Ambulance High School volunteers. And we had great recruits 2 weeks into their training from the Australian Defence Force Indigenous Development Program. We ran rural trauma scenarios, burns, chainsaws, gunshots. We had people falling off cliffs. It's one of the most dangerous farms I've been on for an hour. We had great training. We ended with a bonfire, music, and of course, because we were camping, after 2 months, it poured down rain. Earlier the same Saturday, we'd organised students from 4 different universities present their regional research. Great ideas on a fraction of the budget seen in the city. Now, the Young Investigator Award for Public Health was given to one of my PhD students. And together we've established a research collaboration between Tesla, New South Wales Roads, New South Wales Police, and the regional universities in the area to make the rollout of autonomous vehicles safer. Because not just in the next few years, but in the next few months, the first rollout of driverless semi-trailers begins in regional Australia. Let that sink in. So where did this idea come from? So rural Australia suffers horrifically and disproportionately on the roads. It's a public health priority for our students, for our future professionals to look at where this is. I've had close family members with their lives destroyed by road injuries. In a country area, we all know people who have died, children who have been orphaned before their time. Now, some of these same medical students out here in the paddock were also part of our bush tracks and our integrated humanities school program. So we're linking academics and students with high school students from marginalised and remote communities. This year alone, we've passed more than 150,000 student hours of voluntary teaching and tutoring. It originally came up because we were running careers nights where old students and doctors were asking school students, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's the most awkward, intimidating interaction you can have with an old person and someone in high school. So we said, let's start actually with the training and the education, and then hopefully those life questions and career changes will come in serendipitously down the track. Now, these are great kids who are otherwise left behind. There's so much potential that still needs to be achieved for rural high school students in education. But they are kids whose feet are firmly in the soil and they are aiming for the stars. And this doesn't really capture, these numbers alone don't capture the reality of their land, their spirit of collaboration, the volunteering in these regional communities, these human-scaled communities where people will spend their time in the paddock doing extra things, volunteering to make what they see as the reality of these regional communities really work. But what's the goal? What's the real goal? What is life as a rural doctor actually for? Now, the GP from one of my hometowns in the region best expresses what it meant to be a rural doctor. He's a now retired humble GP who practiced in one town for his career for a lifetime. He has inspired not just me, but many other young people to take up the wonderful life that is being a rural generalist and work in healthcare career. And he always relayed in this story about what it meant most to him. And one early on in his work, he had a horrendous bus crash. There were multiple injuries among teenage girls travelling to their school swimming carnival. He arrived first on the scene. There were many hours before people could be casevaced. There'd already been a lot of deaths, but he worked for hours saving and retrieving many of the young girls. And he concluded the story that the work in the country is different. And one of those reasons was the first body that he had to step over was his own daughter. The impact you can make as leaders in your community will change lives. Today is a great day, a day you should all remember with a real sense of achievement. It should be a day of immense gratitude for your families and friends who have helped you to get here. Through the study, the assignments, the countless hours of grinding work, of drifting on wards, not even knowing really where to stand, but eventually finding your place. To your families, hold them tight and offer them something back in gratitude. And above all, as you become leaders and professionals, teach as much as you can. It will not only teach you the subject, and on the way you'll learn to collaborate with your wonderful academic colleagues. It'll allow you to be humble time and time again. And hopefully it will build a bit of real strength of character for which rural Australia is justifiably proud.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Associate Professor Joseph Sooty, for a really fascinating lesson in history of UNE, of some insights in terms of regional, but really for us, the inspiration for the regions, which is really, really special. I know it's special to you. A number of you have come from regions, you're here for regions, and you're there to grow regions. I love to think of you going out and thinking about how can you create the regions that Australia needs. Not from the deficit model of, oh, goodness me, what have we not got? But what about thinking how to make it the best place to live with the mental health the world can look at and go, wow, we want to be there. People are so happy in the regions. And the physical health, which means that you can be so productive, both in your home life and in your work life. So I just leave you with that thought that came from me as you were speaking. So before we continue with the ceremony, we're going to have some music. We're going to have a little musical interlude to celebrate this occasion. And the music for today's ceremony is proudly provided by the graduation ceremony musicians. We're privileged to be joined by three outstanding musicians, Warwick Dunham, Sarah Sadgrove and Malcolm Liddell, Please join me in welcoming them and enjoy the performance.
I pray you'll be our eyes and watch us where we go and help us to be wise in times when we don't know. Let this be our prayer as we go our way. Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, to a place where we'll be safe. La luce che tu dai nel cuore resterà. Ricordaci che l'eterna stella sei nella mia preghiera. Quanta fede lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, give us faith so we'll be safe. Sogniamo un mondo senza più violenza, un mondo di giustizia, di speranza, ognuno in fraternità. We ask that life be kind and watch us from above. We hope each soul will find another soul to love. Let this be our prayer. Let this be our prayer. Just like every child needs to find a place, guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be safe. E la fede che hai acceso in noi, sento che ci salvi.
Just quickly before you go, was that Frozen? Is it from Frozen? Well, that's where I went, and I saw the beautiful girl on the front here dancing with the flags. I have some granddaughters, and I just got transformed by that music in the blue dress. I wanted to dance across the stage. That was wonderful. Thank you. So I now invite the head of the School of Rural Medicine, Professor Michelle Guppy, to commence presenting the undergraduate awards.
Chancellor, I now have the honour to present to you those graduates newly admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Medical Science and Doctor of Medicine from the School of Rural Medicine. Shenenye Jane Frances Achusiogu. Gargan Aradia. Anthea Sapphire Azzi. Andrew David Barker. Gina Lee Bowden. Lily Patricia Bragg. Joanne Cheng. Hannah Jolene Onwa Chow. Also receiving the New England Award, Christopher Choi. Hayden James Clancy. Elizabeth Norma Degatari. Kate Fraser. Jai Anthony Richard Finnis. Georgina Hallam. Bailey Hart. Melissa Hodgson. Mary Jessica Jarasingham. Yi Quen Chloe Jiang. Michael Kamel. Aniga Kanav Hariharan. Alexander David King. Matt Kenneth Larson. Isabel Soon San Lee. Jay Hao Lee. Anna Lay. Ka Shin Jason Lee. Rachel Joyce Lee. Eleanor Jane Lunn. Scott Francis McDermott. Michaela Grace Miller. Pranal Nagalakonda. Lara Nanayakara. Nicholas Sean No. Grace No. Brody Petit. Michelle Fu. Shannon Samuel Polivoy. Shruti Pristi. Saskia Ridley Smith. David Michael Ryan. Samajit Singh Saluja. Kaveh Shalini Sarangadasa. Joshua Daniel Sher. Mia Page Simeon. Matthew Stewart St Hill. Jengson. Naomi Sunny. Gary Huang Wang. Cynthia Wu. Victor Yusen Yang. Amanda Ying Chun Yi. Alicia Yin. Bill Zhang Chen. Chancellor. I now have the honour to invite the head of the School of Psychology, Professor Ina Thorstensen, to present those graduates newly admitted to undergraduate awards who are able to be present at this ceremony.
Chancellor, I now have the honour to present to you those graduates newly admitted to the degree of Bachelor with Honours, Bachelor, and those graduates awarded the diploma from the School of Psychology. Undergraduate Award, School of Psychology, Bachelor of Psychology with Honours, Stephen Jack Blair, First Class. Paige Blythe, First Class, also receiving the New England Award. Brett Christopher Carlisle, First Class. David Carrere, First Class. Sophie Jane Florence, First Class, also receiving the New England Award. Mitchell Andrew Fordyce, First Class. Elise Jameson, First Class. Kylie Joy Butterworth, Second Class, Division 1. Colin Andrew Hunter, Second Class, Division 1. Sandus Yamil, Second Class, Division 1. Ashley Edward Robinson Lang, Second Class, Division 1. Bachelor of Economics, Gabrielle Hannah Worth. Bachelor of Psychological Science, Bridget Armgard. Sonia Catherine Brennan. Rowena Bootland also receiving the Vice Chancellor's Scholar Award. Marin Patricia Byrne. Grace Leslie Colbert. Alexandra Margaret Crawford also receiving the Vice Chancellor's Scholar Award. Danielle Dane Dunkley. Gemma Louise Fitzgerald. Charlotte Catherine Fulcher. Benjamin Michael Robinson House. Jacqueline Kudeda. Bronte Kittle. Bailey Grace King. Tom LeBrook. Genevieve Ellison Ma. Adriana Mijak. Felicity Isabel Manche, also receiving the Vice Chancellor Scholar Award. Jeanette Ruth McLaughlin, also receiving the Vice Chancellor Scholar Award. Grace Elizabeth Mary McLaren. Rebecca Ann Mowbray. Dominique Ann Pablo. Claire Cassandra Payne. Lauren Pulse. Siam Marie Rains. Rachel Anne Mary Riches. Hetige Udara Waswani Rodrigo. Jessica Valerie Simmons. Alana Rose Williams, also receiving the Vice Chancellor's Scholar Award and the New England Award. Dylan Young. Fariba Zarbak. Diploma in Psychological Science, Christina Corina Barton. Chancellor, that concludes the presentation of awards from the School of Rural Medicine and the School of Psychology to graduates who are able to be present at this ceremony.
Thank you, Professor Thorstentin. I now invite Craig Raymond to deliver the thanks on behalf of the graduates.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, Council members, local elder, distinguished guests, academic staff, fellow graduates, family and friends. I was going to say good morning, but it's now good afternoon. So good afternoon to you all. Thank you, Uncle Steve, for a wonderful welcome to country. I've been associated with UNE for quite some time, but I've been here for the last 6 years. And every time Uncle Steve gives a welcome to country, it's different. He puts thoughts into these welcome to countries, and we learn something every time we listen to it. So for those that have heard it for the first time, I'm sure that you've gained something from listening to Uncle Steve today. And for those that have been here for some time, we always get something. So thank you, Uncle Steve. My name is Craig Raymond. I'm a proud Wiradjuri man, and I'm honoured to deliver this vote of thanks on behalf of all the graduates today. I would also like to acknowledge the many volunteers who have helped make today run so smoothly and created memories that are going to last a lifetime for all of us. Thank you. When I was asked to prepare this speech, I did what most students do, and I tried to find a template, preferably one that guarantees success. Unfortunately, there wasn't one. I looked everywhere. However, upon reflection, that's what makes UNE so unique. UNE offers something for everyone, from school leavers to retirees, those who relate to the dominant culture or perhaps a subset of it. UNE embraces diversity, different pathways and different timelines. Every student has their own unique story, perhaps with detours and a few wrong turns along the way. However, it's a journey that has ended with us all graduating here together. So my first message is simple: value your story. And you're dropping the phones. Your setbacks, your struggles, and your successes all matter because they shape who you are and what you bring to the world. Importantly, share these stories. They will touch others in ways you may not realise today, but you may ignite a spark in them and you'll act like a beacon of light to guide their further success or future success. The vote of thanks historically involves a student recounting their unique journey. For me, my Indigenous heritage has played a central role in both my studies, my motivation, and now my new career. Today, I am one of only 4 Indigenous psychologists working in the whole of New South Wales Corrections. Unfortunately, it's a system where 35% of male and 40% of female prisoners are Indigenous. This is despite us making up only 4% of the entire population. Furthermore, within and outside corrections, Indigenous psychologists make up less than 1% of all registered psychologists. I'm proud that UNE, in conjunction with Arala, is actively helping to address this inequity. Because research informs us that when dealing with Indigenous societal challenges, such as the imprisonment rate, better outcomes are achieved when Indigenous voices lead and play an active role in addressing these challenges. Like many UNE students, my journey to become a registered psychologist was not straightforward. I am what is politely termed a mature age student. It's a funny term, that, mature age student. I guess it's outwardly presented as a show of respect for life experience, but it kind of sits along other terms one gets as they get older, such as, you look good for your age. So what does a mature age student mean? It means life experiences that someone in their teens and 20s may now have difficulty navigating. Sometimes it's good to give an example, and I was talking to my nephew, he's in his 20s and sitting here today, about things like dating. So he was talking about different apps where you can meet people, having an online profile, socials, and mastering a different language with words such as flex, slay, skibbity, riz, and low-key dating. When I was young, things were a lot different. I looked across the room and saw someone in person who I wanted to talk to. I then had to pluck up the courage to go and talk to them, ask, and even harder, remember their landline phone number, then wait the required time before I called her, which was generally about 3 days. One day you're too keen, wait longer than 3 days, you might get another date. Then the hardest thing was actually calling that landline phone number, knowing there was a very good chance you'd have to speak to one of her parents before you spoke to her. A few older people might remember those days. However, on a more serious note, upon reflection on my journey to being a mature age student, it kind of began when I remember my parents telling me at 6 years of age they were going to divorce. And at the time being sat down and told I was now the man of the house. I lived primarily with my Indigenous mother and younger brother. Nobody on either side of my family had ever been to university. We grew up poor. For example, there was no computer at home, no sets of encyclopedias, which for the younger people was, I guess, the old-fashioned online search engine. We had a rusty car. I was the only child from a divorced family in the street. And intergenerational trauma was not discussed in the 1970s and 80s. Thankfully, in 2026, it's something we're now much more open to, and we open our hearts and minds to it. I was a weird kid, honestly I was. For example, when watching TV, I wasn't into cartoons that my brother and other friends were. I much preferred watching the news, learning about politics and human behaviour, interests that would later guide my life as an adult. After finishing school with low grades, I applied unsuccessfully to university. In 1990, I joined the police force, and when I was given the opportunity to study a police-related degree through UNE, I took it. Back then, it was by what we call distance education, an arrangement where course materials were mailed, as in posted, not emailed, and return assignments were written either in pen or via a typewriter. Back then, to erase mistakes, the use of liquid paper was about as good as it got. During my policing career, I satisfied my political fix, having memorable roles bodyguarding the last president of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, Australian Prime Minister John Howard, and Governor General Sir William Dean. However, policing also involved undercover work, and unfortunately this impacted me psychologically, ending my police career, and I later transitioned to a less public role as a personal trainer. In 2019, after suffering a broken neck, and with the onset of COVID lockdowns, I decided to take the plunge and return to study and fulfill my other childhood dream, to study human behaviour and become a psychologist. Unfortunately, most universities told me my 1997 police degree was too old. However, UNE gave me a chance. Balancing work, study and family life was not easy. Like many older students, and perhaps students here from disadvantaged backgrounds, I discovered that learning the content was only half the challenge. Figuring out technology and academic language was the other. I didn't know how to create an online folder, use Control F for a word search, or understood what APA stood for, apart from anxiety-producing abbreviation. So how did I get through it all academically? Well, in my case, and I'm sure most of the cohort here would agree, we acknowledge someone special in terms of the staff here at UNE that played a pivotal role in us being here where we are today. In my case, that was Dr. Bernadine Cox, who as a first-year psychology student took an interest in me, and without her support and guidance and friendship, I would not be standing here today. I know many graduates here have similar stories of lecturers, tutors and mentors who made a real difference and who perhaps are on this stage today or in the crowd. And without their support, we would not be standing here and graduating today. So thank you to every one of you on behalf of all of us. UNE is more than lectures and assignments. It's about experiences and learnings along the way. These experiences shape us, not just academically, but personally. One way UNE shaped me personally involves my post-traumatic stress and anxiety, which I unfortunately suffered after my police work. There were times, even as recently as 12 months ago, where I would walk into the crowded dining hall at Mary White College. My throat would tighten so much I couldn't eat. I'd have to make an excuse to leave. So how did I get from not being able to eat in the dining hall to being up here today? Well, in early 2025, I was asked to deliver an acknowledgement of country in front of the Chancellor. And if not for receiving the Britt Abraham Scholarship a few weeks earlier, I would have declined and I would still be hiding from groups and public speaking events such as this. Britt was my inspirational honours tutor in 2023. Someone known to many here, an incredible young Indigenous woman who tragically and suddenly passed away. Receiving her scholarship and meeting her family gave me motivation to step forward, to challenge myself, and to continue to something bigger. So I accepted that opportunity, delivered the acknowledgement of country, and accepted the invitation to deliver the vote of thanks today. And if I've got this far, I must be making some progress. So finally, on behalf of all the graduating cohort, I'd like to thank our family and friends, I didn't attend my 1997 graduation as I was too shy to come alone. So there might be some here today that have come alone. Well done to you, and we all share in your success. Today I celebrate, however, with family and friends. To those family and friends of every graduating student, whether here in person or perhaps in spirit, your attendance means more than you know. On behalf of us, thank you. This day belongs to you as well. So in closing, on behalf of all graduating students, we thank the University of New England, we thank the academic and personal staff, and lastly, as I said before, we thank our family and friends. Thank you.
Craig, thank you. I am rendered almost speechless. That was a beautiful, beautiful vote of thanks. Thank you. And you are an inspiration to all of us here today, as well as all the people that come behind you who will look and see what you have achieved in spite of everything. And we're very, very proud of you and very grateful that you are part of our family. And I would say that to all of you. Whilst you get your awards yourself, we've talked about how we're thanking family, but this is now also your family, and will always be your family. You will never need to be alone. Congratulations once again on your graduation today. As I said, you are now part of the UNE family, and I encourage you to stay connected with us in the years ahead, and also with each other. As I look at you and I imagine what you as a group of people could achieve if you stayed connected and had some sort of vision and goal, I get incredibly excited. But you can stay connected either by undertaking further study. You might encourage your friends and family to study with us, but also you might engage with the UNE alumni. There's a beautiful UNE alumni network that you can be part of. There are events and activities, but also you can keep up with the news of all the impact that our staff and our students are having all around the world. And when you have that impact, we would love to know about it so we can celebrate it with you too. I wish you all the very best with your careers ahead and look forward to hearing about the difference you as UNE has made to your world, but also the difference that you make, be that to yourself, your family, your community, or even broader than that. As new opportunities unfold before you, we take great pride in having accompanied you on this small part, this little chapter of your journey. I would now like to ask the graduates to acknowledge the great contribution maybe by your family and friends. We're going to do a bit of a fun stage now. You know how they talk about, you'd know this as psychologists, right? Get your vagus nerve. Shake, all right? So we're going to be getting you up, do a bit of a shake, and I want you to face all these wonderful people that have been supporting you, and we're going to give them a round of applause. So if you'd like to stand, face your people that you want to thank, and then let's give them a jolly good applause. Thank you. Yes, you can be as loud as you like. Okay, you can sit down again now. I will get you to stand up in a second, but sit down. Thank you all for attending today's ceremony, and a special thanks to all the UNE staff. Craig, thank you for thanking the staff. That was very generous of you. Thank you. To UNE staff who worked tirelessly to make today's ceremony such a memorable one. Before we bring today's ceremony to a close, though, we've got one final moment. I don't know if you're all ready for it, if you've been told about it, to share with our newest graduates. In a moment, I'm going to invite you to launch your trenchers in celebration. It's a gesture that marks not only the completion of your studies, but the beginning of all that lies ahead of you, which is such an exciting thought. I'm just going to remind you, though, so you're going to throw your hats in the air, okay? You have to pick them up afterwards. So, employ all your physics skills and think about the trajectory your hat's going to go on and making sure that you can get hold of it. So what I'm going to do is make you think about, as you throw your hat, this is a celebration of your achievements and a reflection of the university sending you forwards into whatever you're going to do next in your communities, in the wider world, and how you're going to contribute. So think about that in your mind too. Gratitude for the past and excitement of the future. Okay, stand up. Now, I would like you to face your wonderful supporters, wherever they might be. And I'm going to count to 3, and you're going to remember that you need to find your hats afterwards. But on 3, you'll throw them. Okay, we ready? 1, 2, 3. Woo! Okay, that was a good job. I don't see any on the stage, so I think you've done well. Okay, thank you. If you could be seated once you've found your hat. I hope you all continue to enjoy the wonderful atmosphere which graduation creates, and you all take advantage of the various hospitality and entertainment options available today. Thank you for joining us to celebrate here today. I declare the ceremony closed, and I ask the congregation to please stand for the academic anthem, Godemos Igitur, and after the anthem, the newly admitted graduates are invited to follow the procession out. Have a lovely afternoon and enjoy your celebrations.
Gaudiamus igitur, Iovenistum sumus. Gaudiamus igitur, Iovenistum sumus. Post jucundam juventutem, post mollistam senectutem, nos habebitur. Nos habebitur. Vivant academia, vivant professores, vivant academia, vivant professores, vivant membrum quod libet, vivant membrum qui libet, semper sit in flore, semper sit in flore. I've paid my dues, time after time. I've done my sentence, but committed no crime. And bad mistakes, I've made a few. I've had my share of sand kicked in my face, but I've come through. We are the champions, my friends, and we'll keep on fighting till the end. We are the champions, we are the champions, no time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world. I've taken my bows and my curtain calls. You've brought me fame and fortune, everything that goes with it. I thank you all, but it's been no bed of roses, no pleasure cruise. I consider it a challenge before the whole human race, and I never lose. We are the champions, my friends, and we'll keep on fighting till the end. We are the champions, we of the world. We are the champions.